but I thought I'd do the intro to my painting party video out here on the porch today. So I have two pieces finished. This one is called Colorful Keys, and this one is called Contours of Music. So I want to talk a little bit about what you can expect to see on this tutorial video. First of all, you can do it individually, you can do it in a group. Since this is not a live paint party, if you're able to, I would suggest that you watch most of it, if not all of it, through one time, rather than to try to follow along in real time, get a big picture sense of where it's going. It looks a little bit more difficult than it probably is, but depending on your painting level, some things could be a challenge more than others. Feel free to adapt any part of this that works for you. I originally started filming to do the color version of this, but at one point I thought, wow, this would look really cool in black and white. And so, of course, my black and white version is somewhat different from the color version. And, the one thing with this one is it has the Van Gogh-like little flecks and patterns. Let me think here how to do this. So the first part is going to be me just showing the supplies that will be needed. And anyone who's following along with this, I can email you the printouts of musical symbols to refer to. At one point, I kind of backtracked and inserted in my sequence the black and white at the beginning. I think I did that. Bear with me, this is the first time I've ever done one of these painting party tutorials. Many friends have been suggesting that I teach or do it this way. I mean, really, a painting party is most fun with other people live. So this is a little bit of a challenge for me. And so anyway, back to the sequence. I think as I sequence this, I'm going to be inserting the black and white part just at the beginning, because I don't want people to follow along with the color too far and then see, oh, I could have done this in black and white. So keep that in mind in sequence. And then most of the instruction will be on the color version. But again, all this can be adapted to black and white, or even brown and white would look really interesting. The color version, I picked three colors: teal, magenta, and a bright yellow. But feel free to adapt to other colors. Any three colors you want to pick that you think would go well, you can adapt this piece. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll get started here. Hey there, I'm back in my studio on day 2 of trying to make my very first painting party tutorial. And I'm filming this to insert a section at the beginning before the sequence of videos I recorded yesterday, because now I'm thinking through this a little bit more, and so pardon the out of sequence part to this. But okay, so I'm going to give a preview at the beginning to show where I was at yesterday painting, but then to insert some other things that are relevant here. Okay, here we go. So this is where the painting was at last night, and it's almost done. I need to fix that, and those who stay with this will see the sequence of this. But I was actually wanting to do a black and white version as well. When I join all these things together, I'll have to figure out how to sequence. But what I really should have done before I started this yesterday, and since I seem to be painting a lot of things lately that have various musical inspiration, I should have printed out some reference sheets. But what prompted that was my wondering whether this note was correct when it's upside down, how to put the flag. And I was looking at something else this morning and happened to notice this kind of note, and I think it is wrong. It's been quite a while since I would have focused more on technical aspects. I'm more interested in music notes that look visually interesting. And as I said, I tend to like to make the joined quarter notes, eighth notes, I think eighth notes, blah, blah, blah. I'm bad here. Okay. No, it is very important. So the flags on these, so as those that are following think about what kind of notes they want to form, this is a good thing to put in the beginning here. I put the flags like that. I thought that might be okay, but I do notice they are shaped much prettier in things like this. So I'm going to give links where you can print off the 5 pages that I printed, or you can find your own references. The music rest is very pretty too. So it appears to me there's various ways of making G clefs, and again, for art purposes, I'm just going to let the viewer decide. Here's something where the notes are shaped more square, less pretty. There's some interesting symbols in here. I imagine whoever's interested in this type of painting party is also interested in music, and they can adapt it as they see fit. So here's another. This looks a little bit more hand-drawn, and the flag is a little different there. And I printed that. But let's see. Then I saw this, and I like that. I love to draw and paint spirals. It's just fun, and I like the look of that. And I think when I do an alternate version of this on black and white, that's adaptable, I might make the staff more like this. That's interesting to me visually. But back to where I was. So this is about done. What I'm going to do is maybe alter these a little bit and fix that. And I think I'm going to put just some notes with teal, yellow, and magenta on top of this and finish it off. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to get some feedback on this tutorial, and hope to see finished projects. I will also give my email where anyone who follows this can send me the results of their personal artwork or with a group setting. So bear with me. This is the first time I've done this, and thanks for tuning in. there, I'm in my studio today painting, and one of the pieces I'm finishing up gave me an idea to try to do a simple painting party tutorial for a similar type of piece with a musical, fun, a little bit hippie theme. I'll show you the piece I'm working on, and then I'll take you through the first step of this. So I have a piece here that I started to work on about a month ago. I like to repurpose, and I had just a canvas that I got at Goodwill. It had some, like, it was an abstract canvas with just streaks of pink and some teal and other colors. And around that time, I was working on another project, and I had done a bunch of dribble work over top of music notes that were made with a rickrack kind of look. These were part of a book project. Actually, this was part of what I painted with watercolor, but once I scanned, and I had a bunch of different notes that were painted with rickrack kind of shapes, and then I took them, the original parts, kind of in my bathtub, and I just felt like I wanted to splatter over. So I kind of trying to give you, before I start this, an insight into what's making me end up with this painting party. So what I did with some of it was to shred it up into these collage shapes like this. I love to do collage work. Now these are the ones I did not use, but I ended up gluing the petals with glue and water mixture, 50-50%, to this, and then painting. I think I did, first of all, put some streaks, some additional color streaks, but I just felt that the canvas I got at Goodwill had some of these original, that's original from the canvas. It was a very cheap kind of thing. Anyway, I'm working on this, and it kind of developed. Then I later saw this frame at Goodwill that was really cheap, but it had a doily in it that I think someone must have, it was professionally framed and discarded, but I'm thinking someone crocheted this at one point, and so I bought it and incorporated it into this piece. So yesterday morning, it was just this, plus the flowers, and of course, I put some colorful buttons on it. And I was asking on social media for help with a title. And one friend said something about Grandma's Garden because of the doily. And another friend said something like Granny's Woodstock. So the title is still evolving. I think it's going to be something like Granny's Woodstock Garden. But that gave me all new ideas about music. And all of a sudden, yesterday, then I found myself putting in a music clef and little notes. And then by last night, I was thinking, if I put like a keyboard behind this, and I did it intentionally with wavy lines because, getting lines straight is very difficult. And this is a very whimsical piece, and I feel like it just works. And so then today I decided that because I like, from the top, this chunky canvas, the side painting, no one's going to see that on the top, but I feel like it feels like a piano to me. So I wanted to put the same thing. I'm working on it on the edge. So I'm going to have this kind of keyboard pattern going down here. And I've started with the white. And then last night I'm trying to get some balance in this with the design of it. I think what I'm going to do is make 5 black lines, like a music staff, going on this initial kind of hill shape I had. I like to do pattern, like little dots. It's very relaxing, and little swirls. So I think I'm going to get a music staff in here with more notes. But I had already signed it, so then I was trying to, I didn't want to paint over and then re-sign it. I kind of liked what I did. I'm still thinking on this, and last night I started to put in a white guitar that I was going to do some stuff with. But today I had yet another idea, which is very different. I'm on the right edge, I'm going to create a keyboard in reverse. And so to do that, because I really don't want to have to paint white over black and go over it so many times, I started with the white outline. I'm going to go back in here and make black keys with white sharps and flats. And I think that will really make these flowers that I've painted, outlined, really pop. And I think this piece is going to come together in a very interesting way. But over to this blank canvas. You know, the idea of a wavy keyboard interested me. So this is what I've got in mind. I've put out magenta, bright yellow, and bright teal. And I'm just going to start out with a small brush here. And I'm going to use the yellow just because it's very light. So I'm going to imagine maybe about a quarter of the way up, starting and just doing like a pattern like this, because this is the individual keys. Again, we don't want to have to make it perfect and square. This is a very whimsical piece, and this way it can be easy, imperfect. But I want to establish just this kind of edge along here. You'll see what I'm doing in a minute. And it's okay to let the paint be thick. I like the thick, textured impasto is what they call it look, rather than blending things so overly conscientiously. I find that when I've done painting parties before, people seem afraid to like really load their brush with paint. I'm not sure what it is. I guess if you don't paint that often, it feels like you know, you need to be very hesitant or conservative. But especially for a painting party that you want to finish in about an hour and a half or so, or 2 hours, you know, you don't want to like be too meticulous with your usage of paint, or it'll take you forever, like much longer than, you know, I'm just loading my brush, freely using the paint. So that looks a little crooked to me, but that's okay. So once I've established that, I'm just going to wash this brush. So rub it hard on the jar, wipe it on my pants or a paper towel so the paint won't dry. So what I'm thinking here is, I think I'll start with yellow. Actually, I'm just going to make just a fun streaked background here and let things blend. You know, coming upward, downward. I'm going to get the top of the canvas edges and the sides too. And this is a 16 by 20 canvas. I'll use that yellow up that I put out. Just load it. And I get tube acrylic paints, but you know, you could get different kinds and brands of paint. Okay, so I'm going to clean this brush really good. And I'm keeping in mind that, you know, once I go in with other colors, they're going to blend. I'm going to use the teal next, and so when it blends, it's going to make green. Now I'm getting a little bit more selective about my strokes. Where I'm placing them, so you know, everyone's got a different sense of balance and symmetry or asymmetry. I really gravitate toward asymmetrical balance. I don't like things to be too perfect and symmetrical, but sometimes that kind of look is really fun as well. So I'm sort of losing a little bit of this wavy shape, but I think I can bring it back later. Okay, just stand back and look at it. Okay, next thing is wash the brush really good. And, you know, glass jars work good rather than plastic cups. You want to like wipe it very, you know, you want to be able to push it against the bottom to really get the paint out. And of course I have old painting jeans on almost every day. I'm not going somewhere, and sometimes when I go out in public too. That's kind of fun, people's comments. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Now keep in mind that where I'm going to hit this with the white of the canvas, it's going to be more pink, but it's going to mix in. So here's where I have to be a little bit more careful not to over-mix, because otherwise it's going to start getting muddy looking. And you know, it might be fun to go in and glaze later to fill in, you know, let this kind of dry. I could use a glazing technique for those that are interested. That's a nice raw pink there. Really don't want to lose that. getting the top edges. Now, so as I'm doing this, then I'm imagining maybe I should, once this dries a bit, which makes it hard in a paint party, to do things in a short time and let them dry, so it kind of limits some of the techniques. But, you know, I can go on to other parts and let this dry some and see if I might be able to do a little bit of glazing. Okay, I'm going to gob some of this pink on. I really like the pink. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so the next thing I'm thinking, I had some white. Where is it left over here? Something I was doing. I want to get the white in the bottom of the canvas, but you know, I just kind of don't want it to be too pure of a white. I'm wondering what would happen if I took the white. Okay, it's a little cookie. I'm going to add some water into it. It's starting to dry up. I wonder, see, white on white, what if I just took a little dab of this and kind of, you know, kind of get a, I like that blue aquatone. Maybe even a little dab of pink. You'll see what I'm doing later. I think the pure white works on this for some reason, because there's already a lot of other color established, and you know, there's just a kind of a a faint bit through the white of the previous color, because as I said, I originally didn't plan to do that. I may as well put a little yellow in this too. Okay, so I'm going to put this brush. Oh, wait, wait, never mind, sorry. That's where it gets hard. I'm going to take my white on this brush. Generously. I got a gook there. Trying to get it out. Okay, I'm going to generously, called it a gook. It's a big crumb of paint, something drying or something, like a crusty glob. So, okay, so that's coming along, and to get in, my studio floor is particle board, and quite honestly, I don't care if I stain it with paint. I just feel like that would be fun. Like, who knows how long I'll live as a person, as an artist, or how long I'll be painting in here or whatever. But if my kids clean it out in, I don't know, 40 years or something, when I'm 100, I'd love it to have like paint all over the floor. I mean, it's just a floor, you know. It's a studio floor. So anyway, back to this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take a smaller brush and, ooh, it's gunky. Now I'm going to go back in and recreate that initial kind of little humpy round shapes. I don't know if you can see the edges on that, but let me move my camera. See how it's rounded on the bottom of the keys. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so the side. Okay, so as I'm working here, I'm getting more ideas. Eventually, I want to put a music staff with a G clef and music notes on this. I'm starting to wonder if this background is going to be too dark, and I'm wondering. Now, this is where I think watchers can get more creative and insert their own ideas, you know, into how they want their piece to look. But I'm getting more, as this is drying, I want to kind of go over this with white, so, you know, there's a little bit of color showing through. So this principle of never painting like a white object, pure white, is important for people that, you know, paint beyond this kind of whimsical paint party. Another thing, you know, when you paint like something more realistic, something that's generally gray, I use black very sparingly, only for things that are really black. Of course, you know, using black at paint parties and in whimsical stuff is quick and easy to get a dark tone, but it's kind of, you know, black is considered a color killer, basically, you know, for someone who's going for a more fine art, realistic painting. Learn how to get black off of your palette at all costs. Okay, so that's my little spiel there. I feel like this keyboard is kind of slanting downward a little bit. That's bothering me. So I am going to get this brush, and I'm going to start over here because maybe I can estimate how much more I need to raise it up, you know. And, you know, I enjoy working vertically. I mean, many people like to work on a flat, you know, table surface. It does take a little bit getting used to work vertically, but I feel I can control it better. And I can see it better in that way. Okay, so, well, it's just going to have to be imperfect. I feel like it dips down a little bit in the middle. So what I'm wondering here now, what would happen, and this is drying, well, it's still pretty wet. If I take this flat brush. This is just a really cheap brush that I got at Home Depot or somewhere in the paint department. Works really well. What would happen if I... It's hard to film this and get the paint at the same time. So I've got some white on here. I just, okay, so that's going to make it a little bit more pastelish, which is nice. So I'm going to turn the camera off and get some more white and work on this part, and I'll be back. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm back again. I'm going to show you where this is at. Okay, so I have put some white streaking in there. And here's where I want to say, if you wanted to do this piece even in black and white and brown or something neutral, it could be adapted, or other colors. I mean, I started with these three primary colors, but you know, really you could adapt this with your own ideas. What I feel like I want to do is to take this blue. Now, I love making spirals. They're just so fun. It feels like energy to me. So I want to see what happens if I just go like this. Ooh, that's fun. And then I started it this way, like kind of right to the left. Now I'm starting left to right, sorry. And I'm going to do one here. And I'm going to wet this a little bit. And I want to, you know, make it go off the side of the canvas. Kind of continue. Oh, that's a little too runny there. Kind of continue it. I like that. This feels right to me. I'm going to start up here and kind of go like this and around like that. It's nice because it's kind of dipping into the paint. You know, a G-clef has some spiral in it, which is fun. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll start here and go like this. And again, this is where you get to be creative. Oh, I like this a lot. I'm going to start at this side of the canvas and come this way and around. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do this. And if you don't like spirals, you don't have to do them. Maybe you like some other shape to dab in there. There's really a lot of possibilities. So let's see, I'm going to paint the top edges and side. Okay, so in terms of balance, see how this is kind of going off the right edge. These are going off the top, and that feels pretty good to me. You know, I feel like I want to do it with another color, maybe all three colors. I kind of have a problem with less is more. This is just fun. I just want to do more. So let's see, I'm going to take the pink. Where will I go now? So this one's going this way. What if I do one like this that goes like that? Ooh, I like that. Ooh, fun. Okay, so how about maybe like that? My water's a little dirty, but I think it's okay. That. Okay. Let's see, what about one coming up this way like that? That's feeling interesting to me. I feel like there needs to be something right here with this color. Okay. So I'm actually creating some purples in there, mixing the paint on the canvas. I like this. So, of course, can't stop there. I'm going to use some yellow. Oh, my yellow is kind of used up. Hold on. I love Dick Blick art supplies. Some areas have stores and you can buy online. Jerry's Artorama also has really good selections. Okay, so what's going to happen with this? Let's see. This could be very bright. Oh, I like it. And again, like, I want to kind of leave some of these yellows that are getting on there. You know, you don't want to like mix it in too much or you're just going to get like muddy color, especially with yellow on top. Okay, what if I go like this? I'm going to need more. Okay, I think we're just missing some yellow over here. Keep it balanced. What I really feel would be pretty with this is to let it dry and do some glazing with a bright green paint that I have. I love green. That might kind of unify it all. Okay, so I'm just going to let this dry. Okay, I'm back after doing some dishes and stuff with my animals and whatnot for, I guess, a couple hours now. So this piece is fairly dry for glazing. Some of this thick, yeah, it's dry to the touch. I can run my hand over it. So those who are doing this long distance that have the luxury of just letting it dry naturally, that's the best way. If you're doing this with a group of friends and you're constrained on time, you could try a hair dryer to speed it up. But I personally don't like to use hair dryers when I don't have to. So I'm going to pick up where I was and show you a glazing technique. So what I have here, I flipped my disposable plastic palette over, and I've poured out some golden satin glazing liquid, and it's a slow drying extender, but I just really like to use this in my regular more formal type of paintings. So those watching that are kind of here for the fun of something quick and simple, but who also have interest in other types of painting, you can see how this technique can work. So I have green light permanent, which is a very brilliant green. And what I'm going to do is take this brush and just kind of mix this together. I want to be careful not to get too much in there. I really want it to be a thin glaze. And I might just test it here. It seems pretty good. Okay, so basically it's kind of fun. This is running. It's kind of fun to glaze things because it's just very simple to go over a whole area. And what this kind of does is unify a section of a painting. So for example, over here where I'm working in the foliage and areas, periodically I will do unifying glazes between passes of different colors and tones. And of course this is really a work in progress right now. But back to this. Let's see here. Okay, so if you stand back, you can see how that's kind of bringing it together. I like to stand when I paint. I'm just going to go ahead and get the top of this canvas first. I love green. To me, it always represents the color of life, nature, and just metaphorically, it's, you know, the green of spring can be very beautiful. So, this is interesting. Now, comes with a little bit of a sacrifice. Okay, so I got to think about this. Do I really want to cover the whole thing and lose all of that? So, you know what, I might compromise a little bit. If my G clef is going to be here, I might like to have a little bit more of a solid, unified, not truly solid, but more solid, a unified area there. And actually what I can do is maybe pick and choose where I'm gonna put this green in. Maybe something here. I don't know, let me stand back and look at it. I'm trying to imagine the black staff going over it. I don't want to lose all of that, so I think I'll just come down a little bit from the top here. Some areas, but you may decide you want to glaze the whole thing on your piece, or you may decide after seeing this you don't want to glaze at all. You just want to let it be whatever it is. I'm just trying to avoid having it too busy in the background. That's pretty. It's kind of like an opening. So I'm going to come up just along this edge a little bit. So you see I'm kind of making decisions here regarding a little bit of layout considerations, you know, where you want your eye to flow. I'm going to put a little bit more down. This stuff's a little expensive. Not sure if you can find it at, I think Michael's carries it. I don't think Hobby Lobby carries Golden brand paints. But there may be other makers. And, of course, you could try the same thing with water or maybe even like a clear varnish. So I'm just going to make a few random passes here of the green. Go stand back and look at it. And maybe just a little bit here. My eye seems to want to cover some of that magenta. And maybe a little bit of that. Okay. I like that. I think I feel good about that. Let me check the side of the canvas here. I'm just going to put green over that. Now, I wonder what would happen if I take, look for another brush here. I take this brush and just go right in with the full strength of the color. And I don't know if that's doing anything for it, hitting some of those spirals. Yeah, I kind of like that when I stand back. Going back over the parts that I think were originally teal. I like that. Maybe I'll hit a few of these parts with it too. I don't know. This is something where I'm going to trust your creativity and uniqueness. Anyone who follows this painting party video, I would love to see your finished pieces shared somehow. You could always email them to me. I can leave my contact information at the end of this. Okay, I feel like I'm starting to get carried away again. It is building some depth. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave this as it is, but of course, you know, it's always a temptation to just keep going. I'm going to pause here. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back yet again. Been doing some other stuff and getting ready to do the next step on this. So, okay. So, while I've been doing other things, I've been thinking about this, and I've decided that to help this possibly read a little bit better, I'm going to take some white and I'm going to imagine the G clef here and larger and kind of going down onto the piano keys, and then a wavy staff. But rather than just put black lines over this busy background, I want to do some kind of wave like this. Now, I'm going to use a little water, see how this will thin it. I don't want it to drip. I'm trying to conserve my more expensive glazing fluid, and also show you how you can do this at home with just water to get a thinner kind of wash. Okay. I like that. So So I don't like the way that's congealing, however, but for this it might be fine. Actually, what I'm going to do is put it on the floor, this part, so that it won't run from the wateriness. Now I'm taking just a little dab of pink because I feel like I want it to have a hint of pink. Of course, you can accentuate any color you want behind the staff. Down on the floor to do this a little bit better. And of course I want to get the side of the canvas, make it flow into that. See a little bit of the background showing through. Getting a little bit more pink on my brush, just a little bit like that. Sweeping it into there. Would be pretty, like a rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. That'd be pretty, but I think I'm just going to keep this pinks. It is fun and relaxing to just blend. Okay, I think that works nicely, and I'm going to let it dry, and I will be back. Okie dokie, I'm back for the next part. Okay, where are we at? We are at getting ready to work with some black. Okay, so this is dried, and I'm going to take a small round brush and try to start to make the staff. Now, when I outline with paint, something that helps me is supporting, you know, rather than just going like this, whether it's vertical or like laying on a surface flat horizontally, either way, to steady is to put your pinky there, and I find that a round brush is best for outlining because it's flexible to different pressure, and as I kind of work and kind of feel my need to press harder or let up, to make the line kind of an even width, and I'll even flip my brush over this other way because I load it with some paint, and then I steady with my pinky and pull, and then flip the brush over to get the paint off the back side, because it works really well. Okay, so I'm about to just put my camera down in a minute and work on this, but I'm going to show you where I'm going with it. So I've got the beginning of that, and a staff is 5 lines, so I'm going to, whoops, a little bit gloppy, indicate the middle line, parallel, like that. And of course then there would be one in between. And here, and along the bottom. Now one way you could do this, just to kind of get it started, so you don't have to worry as much about the proportions, is just to kind of go over it like that. Okay, see how the brush is not applying the paint like you want it to end up being, but you can at least give yourself a road map where you want to go back and cover. But now I've got to be concerned with, I don't want to smear the paint, so I might let this dry a little bit and then come back to it. But maybe that's a good approach right now, to just kind of road map where I'm going with this. And it always helps to kind of sit back and look. So we'd have something along here. And, you don't have to overthink it or be too perfectionistic about this. And of course you want to get the sides of the canvas. Okay, now, since I'm at this, I think I will indicate where I want the G-clef. Let's see. I've gotten used to doing these. You should probably have your phone for reference with a G-clef pulled up. But here's that, and of course the loop wraps around the G line, so right in there. Okay, so it kind of comes up a little bit like an S. Oh dear, I forget if it can go below the staff, maybe not. But I want it to look pretty. Now I'm going to expand and fill in on that a little bit more, which I will demonstrate. So the next thing I think I should do is just make, and again, I can go back and perfect this a little bit more. I'm just going to make wavy lines from, see these ripples like that. So we do want these to kind of be as much on the vertical as possible. I think I'll go and get the edge here. Now, do I want one right on the edge? Yes. I'm going to go like this. Yeah, I think this works well to map it out a little bit and then go back over to get the strokes more perfected. And what I'm doing when I do this, I'm just starting and just kind of wiggling it. And this works out to kind of have one along the edge too. I'm concentrating on probably not enunciating well here, just talking under my breath, but you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. Get the side. Okay, I'm going to stand back and look at it. Okay, you know, I feel like I want the white to be a little brighter on some spots here. I'm going to go in with this brush on the staff and just bring back the white a little bit more in different places. Of course, I'm trying not to smear into the wet black because then we get a gray. We don't want gray. Although I do think I should make a second version of this just in black and white. I think that would be interesting. And it could be an alternate version if there are any guys in the group or even women that want it to have a less colorful feel. That would be an option. I don't want to assume that paint parties are just for women or girls. That's feeling good to me. I'm going to get a little bit on the side. I have overdone it originally with the tinting, but it may just be a matter that I needed to do that and then come back like this so that the white that sits on top of it is going to pop a little bit more. This all feels good to me. But what I do want to do, let me get rid of this black brush for a minute in the water. Okay. My heater might dry it out more quickly. Okay, so got another brush here. Okay, so see that little bit of pink that's, just want to touch that up. And I wonder if the keys need to be whitened up a little bit here and there. Yeah, when I stand back, I do see a little bit of the difference in the white. It's very subtle, but, and of course I'm going to get the black keys in too. But first I'm just going to just touch up some places with some pure white. Hit the sides a little bit. Okay, if I stand back, what does this look like? I mean, I can see a little bit of a difference in the white. Like here, there's a yellow streak. So what if I just break that yellow that's going through there with a little bit of white? Just to give it a little bit more of a random, subtle color. I don't know. Probably not making too much sense in that. I'm just thinking aloud. A lot of times when we paint, we just, our mind talks to ourselves about what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, all the little choices that you make as you paint about color and strokes and this and that. I'm going to hit this side a little bit with some white. I think that's good. Okay, so now the other thing, I'm going to go ahead and put in some notes. Let's see, what brush do I want? Take this one. Okay, so, this is not a literal piece of music or anything. I'm just trying to plan ahead. It's fun to make quarter notes and joined eighth notes, I suppose. It's been a while since I would be confident of my musical terms. I don't know. I just feel like it would look good to start it here. And I'm going to fill this in more. Okay, so I just want to make it look happy. Maybe climbing up the stairs like that. And it would probably look good to make that look up like that. Okay. How about one up here with the stem coming down like that? What would look good? How about something here and there? I think that's enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like even numbers. I like odd numbers. Huh. I wonder which way the flag would go on a note like this. I'm thinking it would go like that. Let's put one more. Let's see. Let's start it up here. Let me think here. I'm going to start it here. Okay. So now the other thing is the keyboard. So let me think. Probably would look good to have on the edge, have it wrap around. I'm just doing a wavy key, wavy black key. Again, so we don't have to worry about perfect edges. Okay, so I wonder how that's going to end up on the other edge. It would be really cool if there's a black key that ends up being there. So I'm going to start it with 2. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Those are the ends. Oh, I want the keys to come up from here. Oh, darn. I am going to have to fix that. And you know what? That might be up too high. I'm going to have to, when that dries, I'm going to have to cover it with white. Oh. Okay, so those are 2 keys together. And then we skip a line, and then we're going to put 3 together. I don't know what I was thinking, because that's how I did it there. Okay. Okay, so we have 3 grouped together. I'm going to fix this later, fill this back in white, and I might try to rub this a little bit. I don't want to leave that texture there. That's going to be very hard to go back over. Okay, so I have 2, 3, and we skip a line, and then we put 2. And I'll touch this up on the edges later. I just want to get the general gist of this. Okay, so we've got 2 together, and then skip a line, and then we're going to have 3 together. Okay, this is fun. Okay, so I'm going to skip a line, and then 2 together. And skip a line. Let's see, so 1 will go here, skip that line, 1, 2, skip that line. Wow, it'll work. At least there'll be one wrapping around that edge. So it will look a little balanced. I'm going to fix these shapes later a little bit more. Just want to give the general idea. Get this in. Okay, skip that line, and then this one kind of go around the corner. So I guess I could paint this in because this is going to go around the corner. Just got to get the top of it off. Okay, so so while I'm demonstrating here, I'm just going to keep going with this. I think this was the brush I was using for the staff. Okay. So right up here, I'm going to go ahead and fix the lines that, and actually I'm not propping with my pinky nail. I'm able to do this sometimes. I just don't want to, smear the paint. So, if you're working by yourself or in a group situation where you can let it dry a little bit more or sequence it so that you can easily prop your pinky to get some control, that would be good. But of course, when there are live group parties and constrained on time, you may need to just kind of do it like this. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling here. What I want to do is get this situated in that area. Because I want the notes in the G clef to be painted over top of the staff lines, just for, I guess, texture purposes. Just feel like it will work better that way. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get behind this note too. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit bigger of a brush. I really need to turn this thing off. Okay. So you might want to check online, but as I recall, sometimes these are kind of pointed at the top. And then you can kind of thicken the shape of that. This is where you might want to print something out from your computer to refer to. You can just work with that. Okay, so I'm trying to remember. I think this can just kind of come down like this. So this reminds me a little bit of calligraphy strokes with, like some thicker and thinner areas that are almost shaped like a crescent moon or something, just rounded. So I have just been painting directly. I'm not using a pencil or anything. I suppose you could use a Sharpie marker if you wanted. Now I see something that's bothering me here, possibly this little white area in there. I'm going to straighten that. I might come back with a brush, and I don't know if that bothers me or not. It's a tiny little area of white. It should either not be there or should be bigger. It would be easier, I think, just to eliminate it. There we go. I'll just change the shape of this a little bit. That just feels better to me. Okay, so get that around like this. We tend to see these musical symbols a lot, but when you get to paint them, then you can forget. Something feels a little wrong about that to me. I don't know. Definitely need a smaller brush. I feel like I should have maybe flared that out a little bit more, but I think that's close enough. Okay, stick the brush down in there, and then this will be fun to just fill the whole thing in black. And see how I'm going like this, and then I flip my brush over. I'm using a flat brush, and you know it's gobbed with paint, so I can take advantage of the paint on both sides. The more you paint, the more you get the feel of the brush and technique and everything. So up here. Okay, that's coming along. Back to the smaller brush. And again, you can print out some notes to refer to. I might have made the flag a little bit too big on that, and I think I'm gonna balance it out by making that a little bit more oval. That works. I think this is a fun piece. And of course, anyone who's watching and working might have other ideas for things to add into a piece like this. I mean, you know, you don't want too much, but I could almost see like maybe some colored music notes, like floating, like small ones floating here and there in the background. I mean, ideas are endless. Okay, so I'm going to pause the camera and I'm going to finish this off, and then I'll be back. Thanks for watching. Okay, back again. Black paintbrush. Okay, here's where this is at. Okay, I've got a lot of fresh black still moist. I did go a little bit over this with white, but as you see, I'm going to have to do that a number of times. So I just wanted to show, I worked on the staff lines, and And I'm working down here. I just want to show my technique for going back to, you know, kind of fix and clarify some of these lines. So one thing I'm doing is just, you know, going like that, and I again flip my brush over to get paint from one side, and then flip it over and pull the paint off the other side of the brush and load it again. And it's important to know how much paint to load on your brush at a time, and I find it just kind of feel it. Sometimes the top of the paint will get a little dry, and you might break it open and kind of stir down into where it's still moist. I've gone over these lines a little bit. I do want to get that wavy sense, so I'm gonna, you know, just work with that one. So again, I'm loading my brush more, being very liberal with the paint, flipping my brush over, pulling downward. This is kind of easy because I'm pulling downward and flipping the brush, coming up from the bottom. Okay, so while I'm at it, I'm just going to make sure that the shape of the key is to my liking. I think those are pretty good. And I did get to thinking about this and looking at it, and I do think when I'm done the black and white part, I think I'm going to use some teal and yellow and magenta and put a few little notes in the background that will be more vibrant. I feel like when I glazed it with the bright green, I'm glad I did that, but it did tone down the pureness of the magenta and the original colors, so I just might want to bring them back a little bit. Okay, so you get the drift of what I'm doing. I'll be back when this is done. Thanks for watching. Hey, it's day 2. I'm back in front of the color version of the Painting Party music themed painting, and I want to show you where it's at and finish it up. So here's where it's at. I just corrected the flag on the quarter note that's upside down, and I do notice that the shape of the flags are prettier this way. When I just do music notes from my head, I tend to put the flags upward. I'm not sure if it might technically matter, but there's no way I can really fix this easily because of the color background. But in my black and white version, I'll get it right now that I have these printed out. So I fixed that, and I touched up the white here. Looks like I could maybe touch that up a little bit more where I had made a mistake. Sometimes white doesn't cover real well. Okay, so the last part I'm going to do before I finish this up and varnish it is to refer to my printouts, and there's actually more music symbols here that I might decide to incorporate into the background. So I do have some colors put back out, as well as I could use black. I'm wondering how these will show up on the background. Let me just pick something to start with, maybe something like this. I'm just thinking to put some random colorful notes in the background would add something to it. It's an option for those following along. You may or may not want to do that. I like that. So I'm going to work with the pink for a while. I think I'll try to make a music rest. So I'm looking at the shape there. And for art purposes, something's wrong here. Maybe not. My eye is attracted to shapes, music shapes that feel interesting, might have some curves and such as that. So, of course, you know, some of the symbols might not be too artistically interesting. Okay, here's a dotted note. I like that. Let's see, let's put one of them over here. And I wouldn't have necessarily thought of joining 3 notes together, but that's kind of pretty. Maybe here. Okay. They kind of sort of blend into the background. One thing that could be done for those who might want to get a little fancy is to take black and shadow it. Now this is always a fun thing. If I can show you how to shadow things, this can apply to other artwork you do. I like to pick like the right and bottom or left and bottom or top or whatever, like just so it's like a bottom or a top and a left or a right that kind of match, like so every stroke. So I'm going to the right of each stroke and the bottom, so I would do that. And then that. So see, right, right, bottom. And that makes it pop. I think I'm going to do that. That works really well. So I'm going to come back up here. Okay, so to the right. And I guess this would be kind of the bottom. Sometimes, oh, I just smeared my hand. Sometimes it's not an exact science, but it should be, but sometimes I mess up in consistency. Like I probably shouldn't have outlined here if this is the bottom, but it's kind of iffy. This is kind of a bottom, that's kind of to the right, but whatever, that kind of works. Let's do the bottom and the bottom and the bottom and the bottom. And the right. So some of you that are watching and following along may have never known how to make something look like it has a popping shadow. This can be applied to lettering and other things. So what I'm going to do now is turn off my camera, and wait, before I do that, I might go ahead and try the yellow. I wonder how the yellow will show up on this. Basically the same thing. Okay, so what if I try this? See, the yellow is going on very thin over top. So I believe this is the base clef. Get a little bit of black. And let's, shucks. Fix that. Okay. Okay, so, and you see I'm propping my finger. This is a way I forgot to shadow that one. You know, if you use your pinky, that will steady your hand to do things like this. So again, I've got the right edge, and then this would be considered the right edge. I might make this come up kind of like that. This is considered the bottom edge, and then I would stop it there because this would be the left edge, and come back and maybe pick it up around here. And that would be considered a right edge. So I'm again outlining or shadowing right edges and undersides of shapes. So this is an underside or bottom of that circle. This is a right edge. This is, let's see, underside, and then the right edge. Okay. I think that's pretty. I'm going to do a few more symbols around in the background in the same way, using yellow and blue, maybe a little bit more magenta, and then I think this is done, and I'll be back. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck. Okay, I'm back again with another 16 by 20 canvas to demonstrate at least the beginning of the black and white version, which I'm not sure how to do this in sequence because pretty much, as I say, with the color version, it's adaptable. You can pick your own set of colors, or you can do it black and white. Even brown and white might be interesting. What we would call that is monochromatic, like one basic tone. Just, you know, the black and white, of course, would be mixed together for grays, and that would be considered monochromatic, like a single chroma. Whereas, of course, if you get multiple colors in it, it's very chromatic, whatever that would be. Okay, so here we go. The interesting thing about painting in this way, paint parties, is you know, once I get it down, the basic idea, it's much faster to replicate the next time around. So I had started this kind of like this, going across. To establish the shape of the edge of the keys. I remember on the other one it felt a little crooked downhill, so I'm going to try to make it better this time. That's level enough. Okay, so we start like that, and just like with the color version, I'm going to make sure my brush, get the water off of it. Okay, so let me think here. I think I'll start with the white. Just make some streaks. It's hard to see white on white, so I'm going to take a little black, just mix with it. Actually, maybe I should start with the black instead. Wonder how quickly I can do this. Anytime I've done paint parties, it's always a trick for me to imagine how long it would take the people following along to do something that I can do really quickly. I had that same dilemma when I used to teach art to young children. I would do little project samples, and it would take me about half hour, an hour to do it. And I thought, okay, 1 to 2 class periods will get it done. They'll get it done. Like something that takes me a half hour might take them an hour. Something that took me an hour might take them 2 classes or 3 classes. But I consistently found that I misjudged. And that's sort of like, a lot of people have been recommending I do painting parties and stuff. And I definitely am interested in doing that here in my studio locally or through tutorials such as this. But, it does take work, planning, thought, and trying to figure out, projects that are interesting, not too difficult, or the levels that people might be at. So the one advantage for a tutorial like this is that the individual or group that's doing this can pause it or maybe watch the whole thing first before they try it and maybe get a better result than if it was live. But of course the downside is the social, painting parties are just fun to do in person. So here, I feel like I'm not going to be able to get in here with that brush, and I'm having trouble getting the whites to appear white. So I'm going to look for another brush here that might work better. Either a round or a flat. I think I'll use this round brush. Okay, so I'm going to really load the white paint and try to be careful of my texture and strokes so I don't over mix it. I wonder what would happen if I just kind of go along this from the bottom. I may need to just go back when this is drier and get some better whites in. I don't know. It can be really fun to just push paint around, very relaxing. And again, I always recommend don't be too frugal with paint. Hopefully my viewers aren't buying premium paints. You know, often at hobby stores you can get things on sale. I don't recommend washable paint. That's more for children. Although if that's an issue, I don't think young children would be doing this project. But they make various acrylics that come in bottles, more like this, that can be much more cost effective, especially for a group. But of course, you know, I like to get, I just have these around. These are a little bit more expensive, but they seem to be a thicker quality. And of course, some people get the little fabric paints. I'm sorry, not fabric paints, craft paints that come in bottles. I got paints everywhere of all sorts. Things, that's an enamel paint. You know, I mean, if you're just looking to have a little bit of a paint experience and don't want to invest too much, those paints are very inexpensive. The problem is they're very runny. They're kind of not meant for canvas painting, but I suppose they could be used. They're just different to control than something like this. Okay, so I'm going to stand back here and look at that. I feel like I want that to be a little smoother, so clean that brush, find my flat brush. Again, this is a cheap brush, a 1-inch brush. I think I got at Lowe's. I'm just going to kind of sweep up here and there. Just kind of smooth it out. You know, as I'm doing this one, I'm wondering what would happen if it's really wet like this. If I used a brush and tried to swirl texture in it that way. That might be another interesting effect, which might work better because it's just black and white rather than all the colors. I don't know. I'm going to do that and see what happens. So I've got a little bit of a damp round brush, and that's an interesting. So I went that way. Maybe I'll go the opposite way. This is interesting. I like that. That's interesting. And it's fun. Feels like energetic. I like this a lot. I'm going to like this version. I suppose you could do it with colors too, of course, but the key to this is it's all like wet. Wow, that was fun. That was really fun. And of course, it's all about having fun. I like that. Okay, so I'm just thinking here. This is kind of a different version, wet on wet. Let me think here. This is kind of a different sequence happening in real time, somewhat. So on this version, I wanted to shape my staff and do a swirl kind of like that instead of this, I'm wondering what would happen if I took this flat brush, get the water off of it, and imagine how this shape would go, because I did like the white in the background or something. I'm just going to take a bunch of white here. I need to get ready to do this. Okay, so I'm thinking it kind of goes there, there, up into there. Okay. I wonder if this will work, what this is going to do here. Just all one motion. Wow, this is fun, except, okay, I've got some gunky stuff here on the canvas. Where that came from. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is put even more white out. Sometimes when you paint, it can be hard to just leave something be. Like, see these white strokes that are coming in there? Like when I go like that and I have that thick thing here, that bothers me. Like, I feel like I want to do that to it, right? But, you know, if you overdo it, then you lose, you know, you blend it too much. You lose kind of that. So I'm just trying to get the right touch here. I'm making a mess. I like having tables that I don't care if they get paint on them. Just old tables I've picked up for free from churches and people getting rid of them. These 8-foot tables. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. I just want to get that a little smoother. Okay, so I want to get the edge with the direction of the paint. That's sloppy. Okay, I think I need to leave that alone. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here, put that brush in there. I think I'll use this brush, this round brush. What size is this? This is probably it's about an 8 or a 10 round, soft brush, more like a watercolor or acrylic brush, like sable or something like that, not a real stiff brush. Okay, so I'm going to adapt this. I want the swirl. This is going off of there. How would I do this? What if I come along here? This is definitely adapted from the picture, which is just fine. end up liking this version even more than the color. So what if I take this and do that? And let's see, kind of come along here. So I want to do that up here in this space. I like this. Now on this, I'm starting to imagine little white dots or something decorating inside the black areas. I like pattern a lot, and it can be fun and relaxing just to do dots. As in this piece, which is still not finished, but you can see I just did a lot of little pattern work and, you know, dots inside of dots. This is a little challenging even for me to keep my hands steady. So I can understand that people following along may have some trouble with this if you're not used to painting or need to adapt it or take it more slowly. It is very challenging even for me because this is wet, very wet. Okay. Ooh, my brush is really gunked up. See, I kind of roll it, get the paint off. Frustrated here. I want that a little bit more perfect. Okay. Okay, let me get the edge of this here. You see I'm painting the edges. Gunk of paint in the wrong place. Okay, so, what do I think about this? I like it. Okay. I'm going to roll that brush again. And those who like to paint might want to start saving any type of plastic, disposable, otherwise disposable lid or container. I actually keep a big bin of those. It makes painting easier. I just want this to be a little bit more black. And you can see as even this dries just a little bit in the air, it can be easier to go back in and hit it a second time for some darker. Okay, now I do see somehow I've gotten some, I don't know, little particles of something. Sometimes paint can have some dry flakiness, or maybe there was something on the plastic that got in that. but I'm going to smooth that out a little bit. Ah, that brush is wrong. There's a couple little thingies there that I don't like. Little gritty thingies. Don't know what they are. Still kind of wet. And that little thing bothers me there. Okay. Oh, that bothers me. Everyone's got their own eye for something visual that might bother them, but not someone else. Okay. Oh, here's something else that bothers me. It just feels crooked to me. There, that's a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing I think I should do is to take a smaller brush. This is probably about a number 4 round. Maybe a number 2. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and ooh, it's really gloppy. You know what? This brush was a little damaged. It sat too long in the water. You should never leave them like that because it's the bottom of it. It's curved a little bit. So it's messing me up. I want a different one. This brush looks good. Better. Okay. So, get back to this. So, you don't want to have a curved brush that's been damaged because then it's not going where you want it to go. Okay, and one thing I might just go ahead and do is go ahead and do these wiggly lines straight down. I have a feeling this piece is going to come out even better than the other one. Image-wise, not necessarily color, just different, but I always find that the second time I do something like this, my results are better because, oh, you know, lots of reasons. Okay, so and that key is a little bit bigger than the other, but I'm not going to worry about it. I wanted to have, you know, that showing on the edge. Okay, now here's a dilemma. You know, should I let just the pure white of the canvas show through with no white paint? You know, for this kind of piece, that might be just fine. I mean, I personally don't like raw canvas showing through, but I think it would work. Therefore, I might go ahead and start doing these sets of keys. Because if I'm not going to have to go in there with the white, there's no real reason to hesitate. Okay, so I've got two together, and I'm going to move on to that. And I'm really loading my brush well with paint, so this works easy and fast. But again, you got to get the feel of how to apply it. Okay, so I've got two, then I skipped a line, and then I put three together. I like to look at it from further away. I wonder if those need to be a little thicker. Actually, I'll put this brush down and get another brush. This one. Now the shape of this brush, I think it's called cat's tongue. It's a flat brush, but it's kind of like oval. Which I like that brush. Brushes come in all different sizes and shapes, of course. I'm going to expand this just a little bit more. And if you notice, I'm making the wavy edge whimsical black keys sitting between the line. I like that better. I just feel when I take a look at it from further away, it needs to just be a little bit heavier. This solid black will really make the piece pop. This is really the brush I should have been using at the beginning instead of that smaller brush to fill it in. Nice. I like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera off and finish this part up, and then I'll be back. As always, thanks for tuning in. Okay, I'm back sooner than I thought. I'm looking at this again, and I'm frustrated with myself because I shouldn't have put this spiral here because that's going to, I mean, on this, it's kind of over to the edge, but of course, you know, the way I adapted this, it would run off the canvas. This might interfere with the G clef. Will it? I'm debating, should I kind of try to get that out of there and move it over, but wait a minute, I'm thinking aloud. I could probably still make the G clef overlapping it and outline it, like maybe with white to make it pop, and that might solve the visual problem. Yes, I think that will work. That was a real-time second guessing of what I just did here on this canvas, but I will be back when the keyboard is done. Okay, here I am again, and I've got yet another idea. So, I just finished up the keyboard, and one thing that made me very happy was, oh wait, I'm not very happy. There's a line here, but not there. Okay, never mind. I'm happy because I usually don't like symmetrical things. And I was happy because there were two here and two here. It just worked out that way. You know, I didn't use a ruler to measure off or anything like that. Although some people watching might want to do something like that, perhaps. Yeah, I'm not going to let that bother me. Kind of goes off the edge like that and like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm about to go outside. It's a sunny day. I'm going to do some work while this dries. But I had yet another idea. So, sometimes what's interesting is to have a black and white image, a photo, a painting, and to highlight it with color. That is interesting. What if, when this is all dry and done, I went in with maybe the three primary colors and did like shadow work, like bottom, right, in colored sequence around the keys. That would be, I would like a version that's that way. So what I'm thinking and wondering, of course I always like to try to sell my painting party samples, because of course if I do a live painting party I get identical pieces. So I would need to decide, I often will scan my images directly on the scanner in Photoshop in sections, and then I join it together, you know, with perfect mending so that I can make very high quality prints, such as like this. This is actually a 13 by 19 inch print on my archival printer. That artwork was quite large, much bigger than this on canvas, and my neighbor helped me lay it on the scanner and hold it straight while I did about 16 to 20 different segments, and it did take some work putting it together. But so what I'm thinking is I might want to scan this first as black and white, so I could also have this image to maybe put on cards and prints, to list it on Etsy. I am always interested in kind of like playing checkers. You know, you don't just make one move, you make one move that does a bunch of things at one time. So when I finish these up and scan them, I have images that I could even put quotations with, like on cards and prints. I do sell a lot of things on Etsy. So here's what I'm thinking. To finish this up first in black and white, scan it, and then I could maybe do a print like this, and then take the colors and highlight it, or scan it so that I have the black and white image and then go ahead and on the canvas put the color. Actually, I think I might do that. I could always repaint this if I wanted a canvas with just the black and white. I'm not sure what I would do with this canvas anyway. It's more just for this tutorial. Now, as I'm looking at this and it's starting to dry, I feel like I want more white spirals in the background. This thing kind of got rid of some of my spiral work. I'm a little hesitant to do this. I don't know if I'm going to make it too much, but let's see what happens here. I'm just trying to keep it light. Yes, I do feel like I need more spirals. I don't like that shape too much. Trying to be real careful not to mess anything up. Eileen, you could get too carried away with spirals here and mess this up. Kind of talking to myself here. I don't like that shape though. I don't like that. I feel like it needs to be broken. Okay, I don't like that. I do plan to put some floating music notes in the background, so that'll kind of hopefully temper some of this white spirals I feel like I'm wanting to put in right now. And maybe just one up in this corner. I wonder why I like spirals so much. You know, I'm just thinking, there's something called, I'm probably going to mispronounce this. I think it's the Fibonacci sequence or something like that. It's some kind of mathematical ratio that, as I remember, like shells that are like spiral shells, like I guess conch shells or whatever, seem to follow that pattern, which is interesting when you think about God's design of things. You know what I feel like doing now? I feel like putting white inside of there. I don't know why. I just visually feel like I need to do this. And again, I might run the risk of overdoing this, but you know, to me, like spiral just and curves have a lot of feeling of energy, you know, like movement energy. And of course, music has a lot of movement and energy in it. Now I'm feeling like I need to do that. So I'm hoping that those watching and doing their own piece will adapt things to the way they feel and interpret their piece needing to be. I like that. You know what? Van Gogh actually did a lot of spirals in his artwork. Starry Night. And I think recently, in recent times, when I've done more like whimsical styled painting, I am also drawn to those kinds of shapes. This is fun. I like the way this is shaping up. This reminds me a little bit of Starry Night. Wow. So in this piece I did, this is my neighbor caricature, a big piece, and I did lots of spirals, kind of put like a Van Gogh-ish background in. Oh, wow. This, I'm just getting more ideas. I don't know whether to stop with this or keep going. I'm looking at it from a distance. You know, I'm a little bit of a risk taker when I paint. And I am just going to go with what I feel right now. I feel like I want to go in here with a small black brush and do this little dot technique like Van Gogh. A lot of his stuff just had little dots, flecks. You know, for those that know or are a little bit interested in art history, you know, Van Gogh kind of, oh, this is going to be fun. I've really got to do this. Van Gogh came on the scene, you know, during the time of the Impressionists. But his work, of course, he was, I'm sure, considered one of the Impressionists, or eventually considered that. I'm just rambling here spontaneously. If my memory serves me right with art history, I believe there was Manet, M-A-N-E-T, and then Monet. So Manet's work was a precursor to, I forget what his work looked like. I think Manet had pointillism. I could be wrong, which is a bunch of little dots making a big image. Or there was some quality about his work that inspired people like Monet, which, as I remember, kind of started working a little bit later. And then, of course, we have Van Gogh. And let me think. Mary Cassatt and Edward Degas, some of the French Impressionists. So how does this look from far away? So how does it look close? Huh. I'm liking this. This is totally unplanned. Oh, this could take a while. Anyone who wants to adapt their piece like this is going to be in for a long, patient working. So what I'm doing here, you know, I'm just making little streaks. I'm using black, but if you wanted to go with it even more, you know, mixing in white streaks, I mean, gosh, you could just keep going, depending on how dense you want it to appear. So visually, so some of you may wonder, well, how am I deciding where to put these flecks? And, you know, generally I'm following the motion, following the spiral, like around and around and around. And oh, this can be very relaxing. There's a lot of artwork I've been doing in recent years where I just incorporate this kind of thing. For example, I've been working on this for a children's book, and collage and spirals, music notes, spirals. Ah, got the flags right there. Okay, so back to this. My battery is about to die, but I will probably turn this off and come back to it later. Maybe even surprise viewers by going straight to the finished part. Okay, so you can see I'm working around like that. So the other thing that's going to need to be done, and I'm going to go ahead and hint at it right here for work on it, because I think it's dry enough. I could maybe get the staff in, but get a little bit. I don't know if that brush is heavier. Let's see. This brush might be right. You know, again, I want to get the rest of the staff put in. Looks like a highway right now. That went a little bit crooked. I could always touch that up more later with black. It's still pretty wet. That looks like a highway. Okay. It would really look like a highway if I dotted through the middle, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make the fourth line. So glad I saw that when I was looking for my music notes earlier. There were actually a lot of different things like that online. I often take things online for inspiration or whatever. Okay, so the sides. I'm going to have to touch that up later. Okay. Okay, so I'm thinking aloud here. You know, I was going to put music notes floating in the background, but of course, if I do that, it's going to be really busy. The other thing would be to put some music notes. You know, actually, there was some other artwork I did for a little children's book where I did the sky with music notes in it, so I might go ahead and kind of preserve that idea in a few spots, and then make my little little flecks, you know, in conjunction with that. Okay, so in terms of demonstration, I think people should be getting the idea of what I'm doing here. That's really shaping up nicely. Okay. I'm very excited about this piece. And I will be back to this later. I really need to go get my phone charged and make use of whatever daylight I have left here to get some dirt out of my car and van and get some seeds planted. Thanks for watching. I'll be back and we'll get these paintings finished. Hi there. I'm back in my studio and I've been trying to string together the sequence of videos and needed images to produce this painting party. And I just thank you for watching and bearing with me, because this is a little difficult for me to do on top of everything else. So the last video I made, I was working on the black and white version, and I heard myself say that I'll be back and show you how I finish it up, and I never came back. I just finished it. So how do I end this? I thought a good way to end this would be a little bonus on varnishing paintings, something I always do for a protective finish and to give it a unified effect. So let me show you here, and I just feel like I'm very scattered. I have many paintings going on here at one time. I don't know that viewers would want to see how many paintings and projects I have in process. So I'm sitting here working on the floor. So this is what I'm going to show you. So varnish is made by Liquitex, or Hobby Lobby has its versions. Golden has its versions. It comes in different finishes: gloss, satin, or matte finish. Now, in my experience, matte finish is very dull. Gloss, it can be too shiny, depending on how many layers you put on it. Also, it's kind of up to an individual, and you might want to experiment some with what kind of varnish or how you want to varnish your piece, how many layers to put. The thing with gloss is it can be too shiny. It can cause glare. So one time an artist friend said that when he varnished his paintings, that he mixed two kinds together. I forget if he said satin and gloss or matte and gloss, which kind of produces a more satin finish. I don't know. I'm not always consistent in what I do, but I experiment around. So today I have a clean brush out. This is not necessarily ideal. I do like big, fluffy, clean mop brushes, they call them, to varnish. Like if this were a painting like this portrait that I might be more concerned about, I might not want to use this brush, but it's one of the cleanest ones I have right now. You need it to be soft, and sometimes my brushes, after many uses and washings, they start to get a little paint residue in them. Like, for example, well, this brush has been used on signs and stuff, but I would not want to varnish a painting with that. These kind of brushes are a little too small, obviously. So what I've done here is just mix about half and half of this satin varnish and the gloss, and I'm going to stir it around, and it's pretty easy. You just want to kind of work quickly back and forth, and don't do it like this and this in straight paths. You want to, because when it dries, you want it to kind of just crisscross, and you can see that it has kind of a little bit of milky look when it goes down. And I'm wiping the brush back and forth. Now, another thing that happens with varnish is as it dries, sometimes if it's too heavy or if it's not smoothed out properly, it can bubble. But again, you don't want to overwork it or over smooth it. There's a glump that got in it. That happens too. I'm just going to push that off, get it off there. And of course, I have this on some platform blocks that I use. Just, I don't want to varnish it to the floor, obviously, or you could put wax paper down or something, just something to prop it up with. And you want to get the sides. I'm always a little messy. I'm not particularly frugal with my applications of stuff. I tend to be very quick, kind of liberal with what I'm doing here. Okay, so one problem with varnishing, I get down on the side and kind of look to see, you can see if you've missed something, if you can see the shine on it. So that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to let that dry, and maybe in about 2 hours I'll decide, if I want to go with maybe one more layer of varnish. I'm going to go ahead and do this one too. And of course the viewers are kind of, I'm sure, winding down here and probably know what it looks like to varnish a painting again. So I just want to thank you for watching, and I really would like to get pictures of finished products, paintings. So thanks again, and if you want to be on my mailing list, if I make new painting party videos, please feel free to send me an email at eileenslipher@lettersource.com. That's EILEENSLIFER @LETTERSOURCE.